Yo, what's going on? This is the Highly Advised Podcast. I am here with my friends, my amigos, my compadres. We have Big Cozy, Too Cozy, St. Kitch, Spence down there on the bottom again. And I am Relaxing NoG_Jackson. You can follow us at the Highly Advised Podcast on Instagram, Advise Highly on Twitter. I just want to get that shit right out the way. We're on episode 50. If you're not fucking with us by now, you need to. You need to follow us on everything. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your life if you haven't subscribed to us yet. I don't know what you're doing with your life if you haven't subscribed to us yet. Do that shit now. Yeah.
It's like a 2 a.m.
It's a demand,
man. What you doing? You just sitting on the couch? What you driving home, not listening to nothing? You know what I mean? You wasting your time. Now you might as well get informed about combat and music. You know what I mean? Like there's so much to be said. What else is there to be said except there's nothing more to be said except the Highly Advised Podcast episode 50 is all that needs to be said.
Yes.
How you fellas doing, man? How my guys been doing? It's been a nice week. Easter came through dressed in your finest pinks, buried some eggs full of gold in the backyard. You know what I'm saying? How's everything going for you guys, man?
Easter was a holiday to be remembered. You want to know why? Because I told the lackey, cut the damn grass. Because my family, the royal family, and the state I live in, they're arriving. They're arriving. So this grass is going to get cut or your employer will get a call and he and you will lose your jobs. But we're all
crazy talking to his reflection like
look in the mirror. But we're now here to the big 50 caliber episode, the Desert Eagle, the big gun that will chop you down. So shouts out to everybody listening to episode 50. Thank you so much. And it's about damn time that we reach half of 100, half of a brick. That's right.
The supreme type of brick. I got you. Things do go. Those bricks that Supreme be selling do go for like 100. So yeah, you're right about that.
To all the jabronis out there.
Oh man.
Thank you. And finally, we have reached a milestone for this independent but soon to be world-renowned podcast, the Highly Advised Podcast. So it's your man, the motherfucking main event, Mr. Mount Rushmore himself, the face that runs the motherfucking place. Yes, that's me this week. And the champ that runs the camp. Yes, it's your boy Big Cozy, Too Cozy. Shouts out to my guys. We are the real NWO, the real lethal poison to the industry. You can't get nowhere without us knowing. You can't get nowhere without you coming to us. We break knees and we break necks.
Yes.
And we steal and cash checks. Let's go, guys. Let's go. Let's go.
How was Easter? How was Easter?
Easter. Now that Lyles got that out for how his Easter was. My Easter was pretty cool, man. Chilled, got with some family. You know what I'm saying? I was excited for episode 50, so I cracked a few eggs.
Nice.
That's about it, man. Can't call it. Pay like I weigh, so.
Hey, man, Easter was really good. You know, the young queen, she got to run around with the dukes and all that stuff like that and get $1 million worth of eggs, you know, the golden goose eggs, because the goose flew over the house and made sure it dropped on my land, you know, because I own land. So Easter is just another day in the Big Cozy life.
For me, Easter was cool. You know, I had some good, you know, food and whatnot. I went to go see, you know, some family and whatnot. We sat around and watched Kevin Samuels.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, that was as interesting as you think. As interesting as you think.
It's very amazing.
I'll leave it there.
Man, yeah. we'll definitely have. Yeah. Nonetheless, that's got to be a very interesting conversation around the ham and turkey, man.
Well, I mean,
Like,
depending on your outlook of him and his advice to women, is what you're going to say about him. And you might agree and you might really not agree.
great,
No,
great advice. Great advice.
yeah. Know what someone always told me, and I always carried it with me, is what do they want from me?
Oh, Jesus, man.
I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna quote him verbatim, but a really good man once said in a lyric, "What these women want from a dude." You get what I mean? If you
Yeah.
can read between the lines, I ain't got to say no more. One of the most influential. I'm not gonna say maybe the most influential, but a very influential artist of our time, our childhood, our adulthood. DMX. He's not looking too well right now. They they're saying that it's an OD, and as of currently, he's still on life support. From last time I checked. How how do you guys feel about this information, man? Sad moment when I got this.
Well, by the time that this grand episode arrives to the listener's ears, hopefully he'll be in a better condition, and hopefully his family is not dealing with the worries of losing a loved one. So us speaking right now is the current situation of the recording. Excuse me. So how I feel about the situation is it's very sad and it's very worrisome because we're going to have another icon legend. If we're going to really be honest, he is a legend. Could potentially pass away. We don't want that to happen, of course, and we're not hoping for that, of course, and we're also keeping him in our prayers because, like Spence said, hey, when we were youngins, no good shitting in our Pampers. This motherfucker was one of the guys. You had Jay-Z, him. Maybe you could put Dipset in there, whatever the fuck. And I'm not going to go down the list right now, but DMX was one of those guys. And it's so sad and unfortunate that it seemed like last year, he seemed like he was doing better for himself. He was doing the verses with Snoop, all this other good stuff. And it just to hear on one morning, hey, he overdosed, he's in grave condition, is pretty alarming. So hopefully he'll fight, he'll get through it, and hopefully the road to recovery will be a good one, and hopefully no more scares. So it's kind of crazy right now.
Yeah, it's a sad situation. I remember like when I was growing up, like my brother, he was really into DMX, and I listened to It's Dark as Hell's Hot and Flesh of My Flesh and all that, and just like a lot of good memories with DMX songs. And it would be sad to see him go in this way, for sure. You know what I mean? Everybody has to, leave this earth at some point in time, but I would hope that, he doesn't have to leave in this way. Prayers out to him and his family. You know what I mean? Like, we hope that he gets better. And hopefully by the time of this recording or when we put this out, things are better. And, he can all move on from the situation,
Something I did hear was that he was actually considered brain dead. And like, I'm hoping that's not the case because it's just like the whole situation's sad to say the least, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you guys have paid attention on social media, but there was a clip that came out with him. It was a clip that started recycling itself around in the social media where he was talking about his first experience with
Correct.
with crack, and he was saying how he pretty much it was laced, like he had gotten laced with a blunt that had crack in it, and like who would have ever thought like that one instance from someone that he looked at as a role model would get him. He would get to this point of success and then still have to deal with these like traumas. You get what I mean? But at the end of the day, no matter how much success he has, like because of this one instance with a person who he trusted, it's like it's been something he's had to deal with his whole life. It's been a battle. Like it just shows you like it's just kind of crazy when you really look at it overall. Like it just shows you like how like just small things can really just change somebody's life in like a greater aspect. So
Absolutely, man. But,
Definitely praying that he gets through this.
Yeah, the Highly Advised podcast. We respect the legends in the game, and we hope DMX makes it through for sure.
Yeah, man.
Outside of just that, though, like in the news circuit, we also saw something about. Hate to bring this up, but the Little Nas X shoe, where I'm not even gonna call it what it was called, but yeah, he put out a little shoe, got some pushback from it, and he's using the same press to push a album. So
good job, Nike. Thank you, Nike. Thank you for suing him.
So I listened to the song and I watched the video, right? So here's what I'll say. I don't fuck with Satan, and that's about it. The song, it sounds good. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna lie. This song is a good sounding song, but like, I'm not down with anything else.
So here's my thing about the whole fucking bullshit, right? It's the fact that he's using something very negative, looked very negative. I think the general consensus could agree that it's a negative thing to kind of help push something. And to me, I think that shit is whack as fuck, right? And I'm not talking about his sexuality. I'm talking about the shoe bullshit. That shit is whack as fuck. When was it ever fucking cool to promote something as that and put it towards music and all that? Now, I'm not saying he's the first to do it. Of course, we could probably name other artists that's done it. But is it a good thing ever? No, it's not. I don't know. I didn't fuck with the shoe shit. Whatever you want to say about his music and the video that went along with the music, that's on whoever took the time to actually, watch it. But as far as the shoe bullshit, because I know that's garnered a lot of attention. Yeah, good on Nike. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for not wanting your brand to be like damaged.
Well, the thing that confuses me about it is like, I'm surprised that he did this, from a business point of view, because like of all the kids that were into Old Town Road, because I mean, if we're being honest, like that was a song that a lot of people liked, you know what I mean? But a lot of kids like that song, you know what I mean? So it's like when I see that and then I see his like new video and what he's doing, whatever, like he doubled down on it with the shoe. Okay, that's what he chose to do. But why would you do that when a lot of your fan base is kids and these parents have to buy their kids music and a lot of these parents don't, fuck with the devil? To me, it just doesn't make much sense. I don't understand. He's just
like
shock value.
The initial song was a shock value.
Yeah,
I mean, if you listen to that song, he's not talking about anything that a kid should be listening to.
I mean, like, but is the song really that bad though? It's not. Like, you know what I mean?
What are you talking about?
Like the Old Town Road song, like it's
okay.
Even then, like his
Well,
like,
no, you're right.
Old Town,
and he said that.
Yeah, like in terms of like who he is as an artist, he's a shock. Like he understands, similar to what like you've seen artists do before that know how to get attention, garner attention through shock value, right? I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if the song's good or bad, but I can say this. When it comes from an artist like that, I know that's a person that's looking for shock value. Like once you get your 15 seconds of fame and it's through the actions of being a shock jock to some extent, you have to keep upping that thing for people to keep looking at you. And that's the thing. Even Boom came out and said, hey, listen, don't make a momentary decision for a long-term consequence. And that's the person that's learned the most. He was a shock jock for real, for real. He had to keep upping the ante every time he would jump into a store and destroy it. And to the point he had to kind of realize, like, yo, I got to chill out. Like there's no difference in this. This is the only thing about this one is he's using the devil, which I'm completely against personally, because that's not my personal belief. To each his own. But that's all that is. Like he's just a shock jock. That's it.
I mean, I can't really speak. Like I personally don't think that he's a shock jock. I will say that he, was talking about some stuff on Old Town Road that wasn't for kids, and he said that. But it's like at the same point in time, I think there's doing things that isn't for kids, and then there's putting satanic stuff in your music and videos. You know what I mean? There's a huge difference between the two. And I think that's what has people upset.
That is a huge difference, bro. Because it's kind of like that's something that's utterly not positive. That's taboo shit, right? That's taboo shit. No parent should have to sit there and try to explain to their kids anything amongst that. You know what I mean? There's things that's very not appropriate for young kids. It's not. Like, you don't want young kids to be talking about sexual things or very, very dark, violent things. So why are you, I can't talk for him. He has a mind of his own world. He's in his own world, blah, blah, blah. But what I can say is, for people who do support or have opinion about his music or whatever, like, nobody's going to rock with that. If you want to listen to him because you think like the guy makes good music or whatever, then fine, you have every right to do that. But when you talk about like devil worshiping and all that shit and doing videos and hell and all that, how do you expect anybody to get behind it except for people who worship the devil? You know what I mean? Like, a kid doesn't know that unless he or she is exposed to that, which they shouldn't be exposed to that at a very young, early age. They shouldn't.
Some people talk about the artistic expression of it as well.
I
knew you were gonna react like that.
Artistic.
He is free to do artistically what he wants. You know what I mean? I just don't agree with that one thing he did. That's all.
But
the song sounds good though.
As a person that came from like a parent that was like a single parent that was very like adamant on making sure I didn't listen to certain type of music, like, his artistic expression is not for my palate. I can say that, right? I can definitely say that. But at the same time, like, we know when stuff like this happens, we fed right into what he wanted to do. Like, we found a way of having a conversation about this that if no one had anything to say about the shoe, if no one had anything to say about the video, this wouldn't even garner a conversation, and he would have to try to find a new extreme, right? The next thing that he does is going to be something even more extreme. And it's just, to me, is at the end of the day, like, I don't agree with it, but I also understand, like, you're just doing this for shock value. Like, kids don't understand what they're watching. The kid doesn't understand what they're watching. The person that's going to get the most upset about it is the parent or the adult. And like, I mean, that's just how I look at it. Like, it's one of those weird situations where I don't agree with it, but it's at the same time, it's like, we still have to be mindful of like, yo, as an adult, like, I'm not, if that's on and if I had a child or if I was babysitting a kid and that came on, I'm turning the channel. Because I don't want to be responsible for exposing that child to that if they've never been exposed to it.
Controversy sells, I guess.
So, in other news and controversy, we had a situation between Quavo and Sweetie.
Shouts out to both parties. Hopefully, both of them can move on to better relationships.
Yeah, that's what I can say. They just need to see new people. You know what I mean? Like, and shout out to the both of them. I hope they, continue to make some good music.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, relationships, when relationships kind of end, things like this kind of happen. So that's unfortunate, but I rather just let that whole thing, like, I don't even want to get too deep into someone else's relationship. So,
well, you know what I was getting deep into? Some Westside Gunn, because he put out
Julia Lang.
Yeah, TV Boy and Julia Lang. Yeah, that is what I got into. As a matter of fact, Lyle was showing me, some new music. We listened to it, and I gotta say, I do fuck with both of those songs.
Which one do you guys like better? You like TV Boy or Julia Lang?
Which one is like 60 seconds?
Julia Lang.
I prefer TV Boy.
Me too.
When I heard it was 60 seconds, I was like, yo, time out. Did I like fast forward through the song? Like, I'm not a fan of. Like, if that's his artistic part of his expression, I'm not a fan of.
Here's my theory of that. I think like the real, like, hey, single is TV Boy, but I think Julia Lang is kind of like, hey, I'm gonna put this out too, but I'm kind of like teasing the whole song for the project. Hopefully on the project, Hitler Wears Hermes 8, he releases like the full version of the song, because it was sounding kind of hard. And then once I was getting into it, it just fades out. So I'm hoping that he puts the full version of that song on the project. But I think both songs are dope. And I think Hitler Wears Hermes 8 is going to continue the trend of, hey, Westside Gunn can put out very artistic albums. He has the ear for the sound.
All I'll say about that is when those albums come out, if you want the vinyls, get them immediately, or else you'll be paying hundreds of dollars for some Westside Gunn vinyls.
Yo,
they ain't cheap.
Both me and Najo can have experiences of spending more than what we should.
Jeez, man. I believe it. I've definitely seen the resale for him go like something crazy, so I believe it. Only thing I hope is that Julia Lane song is longer because he gave us like a 9-minute freestyle for Easter.
Yeah.
So like Easter, like what was it, like Easter Gun Day or something like that? Like
Yeah.
So I just hope it's just longer than that. That's it. But.
Yeah, the resale shit is crazy. But I mean, like, there is some other music that came out recently, not this weekend, but recently. Me and Lyle have been listening to a newer artist, Slimesito, and he put out a project called Out on Bond, and it's pretty good. I've been listening to it. I think it's actually pretty dope as far as like gym music goes, like, or just like that type of music in general. It's not something that you're going to be listening to and really analyzing what he's saying, but he is rapping and he's like doing it pretty well over these beats that sound like just heavy ass drums and these orchestras and whatnot. It's funny.
Shouts out to Slimesito. He's actually not like new. He's starting to gain a bigger buzz. He's like / Atlanta / DMV type rapper. Out on Bond is hard, man. That might be like the hardest trap project of the year so far.
So far, man. I fuck with that project.
It's
good.
And there's no auto-tune, depressing, my girl broke up with me, cheating on me. It's none of that. If you want to listen to some hard trap music from somebody from Atlanta, DMV, who's blown up, Slimesito is the guy. He's been associated with like Lil Yachty and everybody up there in Atlanta and all that good stuff. So shouts out to Slimesito. We definitely recommend everybody checking out on Bond. We're definitely looking forward to listening to his next project. Spence, you should check it out. Just give it at least one playthrough. One playthrough. You might listen to Out on Bond a little more than I tape. So
You're funny, man. You're funny, man. You should have listened to it. You judge it, but didn't even listen to it, man. Shit.
No, man.
I want to listen to that project, man.
I'm gonna listen to it because you recommended it, man. I'm gonna do it because you know what you're talking about, but you know what I mean. Man. When he said I tape, I was like, okay, I guess so.
Listen, man. Like I said, that album was pretty good. I think he had Just Blaze produce most of that shit. So.
Hey, man, remember Kingdom Come?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm lost. I don't know what you. So, are you comparing them to Jay-Z?
No, I'm not comparing. Come on.
Oh,
yeah, like. Come on.
I mean, that's the. I mean, to bring up him and Jay-Z in the same sentence. I mean,
I'm just saying, just because the album was mainly produced by Just Blaze doesn't mean that it's a certified classic.
Listen, man, you bringing up something from 15 years ago.
I'm just saying.
Hey, me too, man. Listen.
As far as things that happened 1 year ago, we had the start of the George Floyd case. They have started going and deliberating about that case, and we have seen to them saying that George Floyd OD'd instead of being choked. Can't make it up. This is what's happening.
I see something today that I guess they brought in a doctor and they were like, oh yeah, it was because of he had shortness of oxygen. And I forgot the scientific term of what they were trying to categorize it. This is what's going to happen with a highly touted case like this. And the general consensus, the general population of people know like, hey, his death was wrong. Should have never fucking happened. It was excessive force. But you do have those people out there who are going to find any way it means to defend a police officer that did it. That's what's going on right now. I think that by the time this episode drops, don't be surprised if this motherfucker is going to, like this case, that's what I mean, it's going to continue to get nasty as what it seems like it's getting right now. I'm just hoping that George Floyd does get justice from this because it's this one. I'm telling you right now, when that shit happened last year, you saw a lot of people's fucking true colors. You saw a lot of good, but you also saw a lot of bad. So I hope that George gets his justice from this shit, but it is not going to be an easy trial because it never is. for situations like that.
I don't have too much to say except like I've been watching some of the case once in a while, so I can't really form an opinion based off what I've seen so far. Like I've always said, I'm just waiting to see what the end result will be before I even want to even say too much.
Things are playing out there, and as we move into the MMA world, things are also playing out with the heavyweight title. Jon Jones is now asking for more than $10 million to fight Francis Ngannou. And Francis Ngannou, at this point in time, according to reports, has turned down a fight with Derek Lewis.
Kind of seen this happening, man, because like Jon was asking for more money than what we knew Dana was going to pay. Let's be real. Jon said 8 to 10 million was too low, which is fucking crazy because Dana doesn't even pay the face of combat sports 8 to 10 million to show up. So when Jon was asking for that, it's like, yeah, Jon, you deserve your money. But if he's not paying his cash cow that, what makes you think he's going to turn around and pay you that? Right. And granted, Jon has made the UFC millions of dollars. Jon has brought in more numbers than Deontay Wilder. Jon has brought in, you could make the argument, outside of Canelo and Mayweather, Jon has sold better than Canelo, who's boxing's top star right now. If he was like, hey, I'll do 8 to 10 million, I think the UFC would probably cut him a deal with that. But since he said, I want more of that because it's too low, and then you have one of his coaches coming out saying like, hey, he needs to get at least 50 million, Dana's going to move on. And he already did at that press conference. And he was kind of like, he already alluded to it. Hey, we're going to see if Jon really wants to fight. I feel like I'm not mad at Jon for asking for more than 500,000. I'm not even mad at Jon for asking more than for $1 million, $2 million. I was talking to Nigel earlier. Hey, Jon's cap should be 10 million. Does Jon deserve more than 10 million if we're talking about the broader scale things? Absolutely. You know, I think Jon should be getting $25 million. But unfortunately, the UFC they don't pay their fighters like that. And that's a whole nother argument and all that stuff on UFC pay. But Dana doesn't pay nobody like that. He barely pays fighters $1 million to show up. If you're not Conor, you know what I mean? So Jon, I think he definitely priced himself out in that situation. And since he priced himself out in that situation, it gives a lot of people saying, oh, he was actually scared to fight Francis. I'm not saying he's scared, but at that point, it was like, okay, is this really about money, Jon? Or is this really about you wanted to beat Francis for the belt? If it was really about money, then I can understand why he was doing what he's doing. If it was really to beat Francis about the belt, yeah, you could say he priced himself out and ducked Francis.
I think it's a mix of both. I think he is pricing himself out. I think in terms of what he's contributed to the sport, yeah, 50 million makes sense. But in terms of reality, I don't think 50 million is actually going to happen. So
I'm going to let you finish your point. I'm sorry, man. This shit is crazy. I don't think he deserves 50 million. When Conor was getting 100 million to fight Floyd, I don't think Conor should have got 100 million. But the way Floyd worked his magic, because Floyd is Money Mayweather, Conor was able to walk away with 100 million. Like, Conor is the face of combat sports, but he's not no $50 million fighter. Freaking Canelo, who's pound for pound number one, beating up everybody, he's getting 35 million. To me, you can't justify anybody getting paid more than him, Floyd, or Conor. So Jon asked for 50 million. Not only he's priced himself out, but also he's overpricing himself because he doesn't even have a million pay-per-view buy. He doesn't. His highest was 850,000. So
who was that against?
Daniel Cormier, the rematch.
Okay.
So if that's your number one buy, and you have other people like, you know, Brock Lesnar and other, I can name more people who aren't getting paid like you, but they, you know, selling more than you, you're definitely not going to get no 50 million. I think Jon deserves a lot of money. He definitely deserves to be in the tens of millions, but 50, asking that to fight Francis, come on, Jon. Like, what is your motive? Because you know Dana's not going to do it. You know.
See, well, Spence, do you want to give your opinion before I start?
I apologize, Spence. My bad, bro.
Nah, you're good. Like though I've heard your opinion, like I still believe like what he's contributed to the sport. Yeah, he deserves 50, but in reality, he's not going to get 50. I think in reality world, like I said, 10, 15 at the most is like what I think is possible because at the end of the day, the thing that makes that fight so big is the fact that he is going to be the opponent at the end of the day. Like we can put Francis against anybody else, it's not going to sell as high. And on top of it, we also have to think about Dana. The biggest part of Jon Jones finding Francis Ngannou is that if Francis does what he's did to every other opponent to Jon Jones, you can sell Francis Ngannou pretty much to America. Not even to America, but to the world. Easier. 10 times easier because now he's beat someone that's more of a recognizable face, right? Stipe was a champ, X, Y, and Z. But when it's all said and done, he was never catered to and moved around like a heavyweight champ you would think of.
I agree.
If he fights Derek Lewis, knocks Derek Lewis out in the first 60 seconds. Oh, cool. Who else you going to give to him? Now your only best bet is having him fight Stipe. Just helpless animals into the den of the lion. But if you put someone like Jon Jones in there, it becomes I don't know if he can really. I think he could beat Jon, but I don't know if he could beat Jon. You're why I think more people, if you put Francis and Jon into the ring together, more people are watching to see if Francis can knock out Jon, if anything, because it's at the end of the day, Jon Jones is considered by many, if not all, but by many as possibly the greatest fighter of all time, right? Granted, the steroid stuff and everything, but all that aside, like Jon Jones has a right to ask for a lot of money. I just don't think what he's asking for is just a little too is going to price himself out. But I think he also understands his worth when it comes to this fight is only big because I am part of it. So
Jon Jones isn't wrong for asking for more than $10 million. Like he deserves more than $10 million, but there's being right and there's being realistic. And I think just because he's right doesn't mean he's being realistic. Clearly the UFC is willing to move on and possibly miss an opportunity for one of their biggest heavyweight fights ever, to have him fight Derek Lewis in a fight that, God forbid, Derek Lewis hits him with one of his, signature punches, he knocks him out, and then all of a sudden we miss out on an extremely profitable fight in Francis Ngannou and Jon Jones. I think Jon Jones is not going to get paid more than Conor, and if he is getting paid more than Conor, it's going to be in the 10 million range somewhere. It's just the way it goes. I don't think Jon Jones is wrong for standing on his shit, to try and get paid as much as he can. But I think 50 is a lot of money. And I think there's only but few people doing that. And Jon Jones is not one of them, unfortunately, especially where he's at. You know what I mean? Basketball players aren't asking for baseball money. That's just the way it goes.
But because, they don't have, once they get caught up to that point, they will. Because look at Steph Curry, right? 400 fucking million, 400 plus million. That's baseball money right there. That it's going to come to the point where basketball players are going to start getting the baseball money on average.
But how many basketball players are getting paid like baseball players at this moment today?
No, yes, very few. But the fact that it started, it's going to start, in 10 years, we'll see more of it happening. That's what I mean.
I mean, in 10 years,
Yeah. Okay. But, 10 years might seem a long time, but 10 years from now, when, you're on the fucking rocking chair, you're going to look back and be like, oh, okay, Lau was right, But the thing with Jon, we all can agree this dude is an 8-figure fighter, hands down.
Yeah.
Giving Jon 50 million is unrealistic. It would be fair for Jon for him to get to 50 million, but it's something that's real. That's just will not happen, and Dana will not do. Like I said, he paid Conor McGregor $5 million to show up and get KO'd. He's not gonna. But Conor, if you look at the top pay-per-views in UFC, the top 5, they're all headlined by Conor. The top 5 pay-per-views across anything, wrestling, boxing, Conor is like in 2 of them. So that goes to show you why he's going to give 50 million to Conor first before he even thinks about Jon, despite the fact that Jon is vastly the better fighter, more respected fighter, et cetera, et cetera.
The greatest of all time.
Yes. It's just that when it comes to this, money talks, bullshit walks. Unfortunately, for Jon's situation. If he was like, hey, 8 to 10 million, I think the UFC would cough the coin up. But the fact that it's rumored, around 50, a lot of people are kind of like, hey, man, you ducking Francis. That's what it sounds like.
Somebody who's not really ducking anybody is finally returning in the fight is Nate Diaz fighting Leon Edwards. And that's a fight that I think is pretty interesting. I think, Nate Diaz, if he comes out and actually shows up against Leon Edwards, that should be an interesting fight. I'm kind of tired of him kind of going in hiatus and then coming out randomly to fight people, though. It's like he's a part-time fighter. And then he asks to be in the title picture whenever he comes out of or I don't even want to say retirement, but hiatus. So it's like it can be a little frustrating for the whole picture of the division for me personally. But shouts out to him.
I'm with you on that where it comes into the going in and out for when it comes to like his presence within the UFC. I also understand what that tactic is. It's just he had a big fight with Conor, and ever since then, that was the biggest payday he had. So he thought he contributed to that payday more than what he did. So he just figures, hey, I'm a big fight. I beat a big time fighter before, or a big payday. But when it comes to this fight, I'm interested to see how this fight turns out. We haven't seen Nate Diaz fight in a couple of years now, I believe. So I'm curious to see how this fight plays out for him. Definitely would it be in Leon Edwards. So, I mean, there's only did they put a date for this fight yet?
Yeah, it's the co-main event to Chandler and Oliveira in May.
Oh, it's gonna be a good card.
And it's the first co-main event to be 5 rounds.
I saw that. That's interesting.
Really?
And, Nate Diaz asked for that because he always wants the fights to go 5 rounds. Because he's in there. Nate Diaz said he's in there to fight all 5 rounds. That's what he said he's training for, to fight all 5 rounds. And I fuck with that mentality. You know what I mean? It's dope.
Well, I watched the interview with Leon and Ariel today, and Leon said he liked it too because his past few fights been main events, and he used to the 5 rounds. So I think that's dope actually, because I think moving forward, if you have a main event fighter who always fights 5 rounds, and they're not going to get nothing less than a co-main event, make the co-main event 5 rounds. You know, yeah. Now if it's 2 up and coming guys who's never been in a main event before, that's different. But Nate Diaz, Leon Edwards, that's cool. With that being said, Leon Edwards is probably going to finish Nate Diaz. I think he'll. I do. You don't think so?
I don't know. You're saying he's going to finish the guy who's only been finished once, right?
No, twice.
Twice?
Oh, I mean, with the Masvidal shit, but I think that fight was going to be finished anyway. You saw the way Masvidal was spanking him every round. You're just saying he's going to finish somebody who's been notoriously hard to finish. Like, I'll put it like this. If he does finish Nate Diaz should, consider his fighting future because he's like a notoriously durable person. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, that's cool. I got Leon at 3 and 4. Leon is he's going to beat him. I mean, I'm just saying, like, he's the younger, fresher, better all-around fighter outside of jiu-jitsu, of course, because Diaz brothers, they're the shit. But striking-wise, I don't see how Diaz is going to beat him. I just don't. But we'll save that once, I guess, when we approach the fight.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see the fight, though. It should be entertaining. I should say the least, especially the build, because you know how Nate Diaz builds are.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely is. I think it's probably even going to be because you said that'd be in May, right?
Yeah.
So, depending on if this deal with Endeavor goes through, with them trying to buy the rest of the UFC back, they may end up trying to use that as like one of those fights that help build up like their new investment. So, I think that'd be pretty interesting to see.
about this whole thing, I think the most interesting thing about it is, one, of course, they want 100% ownership, but two, Elon Musk is joining the board, so they're definitely trying to go public in a sense. That's what it seems like.
Them doing this whole Endeavor deal might end up being, an interesting thing because, well, how long is Dana White going to be the president of the company? He said he signed a recent deal, right?
Yeah,
10
so
more years.
I thought, well, back in 2019, he said like a 7-year extension.
Okay.
So it's now 2021. So he's still got some time left. Will he be able to re-sign again? I mean, I don't know. I guess one, it depends on him if he had enough of it or not. But two, it depends on the owners if they want Dana in there or not. I think that Dana is the guy, whether you agree with all his decisions or not, he's the guy that's moving the ship forward, and he's been moving it to bigger and better things. I feel like before we start talking about replacing Dana White, we got to have somebody who's just as ambitious or even more ambitious as him.
Well, Dana White's like the Adam Silver of the UFC. You know what I mean? So it's essentially, okay, not that.
He's like the Vince McMahon.
Yes, he's like the Vince McMahon of UFC. I agree with Spence because Vince, he did some controversial shit behind the scenes, but no one could deny what he did with fucking pro wrestling, bro.
I don't know. I don't mean it like that. I just mean like he's like the dude that kind of get shits done. You know what I mean? If we're having a question about the NBA, we're gonna go to Adam Silver. Same thing with UFC.
Yeah, but Adam Silver's a commissioner. He's been brought in because, hey, it's time for a new commissioner. Here's a nice, well-oiled machine. Don't fuck it up. And he hasn't fucked it up. So good on Adam Silver. But he's not doing what Dana White or Vince McMahon did, where they really had to go out there and hustle to make a brand bigger. Adam Silver didn't do that with the NBA.
No, that's fair enough. You're right.
I'm curious to see how Dana's relationship will play out over the next couple of years, because I think most people can say when Dana leaves, not necessarily that the fans will leave, but it really can put the sport in a very dicey space, or the brand in a dicey space, depending on who follows up, and if it's like if it's an amicable relationship, right? Where when they decide to part ways, where Dana's like, hey, wish you guys the best. I helped train this guy. He should be doing good. He'll be the one to be my successor. Or will it be, yeah, my contract ended. I helped them with somebody, but I don't think they're going to do that good of a sport. So I'm to be honest with you, I think Dana White loves the UFC itself too much to just walk away. But I mean, only time will tell. I think we just have to keep our eyes peeled for whatever Endeavor does with the UFC coming, like, as we move forward. So I know the deal between the UFC and Venum, I think that was a deal that came out last year, sometime late last year, I believe. And I think it finally got into full effect just recently. I think this week, I believe. And I don't know if you guys saw, but the pay that they're giving the fighters has been a little controversial by some.
Yeah, unfortunately. If anybody knows anything about the Reebok pay, the same thing, except probably about like $2,000 more. And a lot of people are looking at that as like, hey, this is a fucking joke. They should go back to the old sponsorship shit where people were making mad money off of shorts and whatever the fuck. I think the Venum thing is just interesting just to see how different will it be versus the Reebok shorts, because the Reebok shit, everything looked generic and bland and it just looked whack. So hopefully Venum gives the fighters more freedom to come out and look different versus them, hey, we look like generic fighter A and B, outside of the special treatment like Conor would get. You know what I mean? So we'll see though, because so far with this fighter pay shit, or the not fighter pay, but sponsorship pay that Venum is getting, it's not looking so hot. After when it was first announced, it was saying like, hey, we're paying the fighters better. When you look at this shit, it looks like, hey, it's going to be more taxes coming out of my paycheck type shit.
I think, like you said, we have to see what comes from this, because I know, like, with the Reebok deal, I think, though, from a fan perspective, some people weren't pleased by, like, the looks of the fighters, especially the fighters, because there were a lot of complaints from the fighters that came out. But I think at that time they were just trying to actually, like, create like a generic brand for the UFC, so they can move into this direction of what we talked about prior with Endeavor, where someone would want to come buy the company for like $4 billion. So I'm curious to see how this plays out. I do know that the UFC is going to be on ABC, I believe, for their next fight. This should be pretty exciting. Definitely with this collaboration.
It's going to be interesting to see how things go. I'm curious to see how they're going to go ahead and pull out this design, because it seems like the Reebok deal was kind of shitty from the jump. I'm curious to see if Venum could do a better job. I'm sure they will, because they know the mistakes not to make. So they should definitely not make the same mistakes, like misspelling names on shorts online and, things of that sort. But me personally, I just hope that the fighters get paid. In other news, there's another event that's happening this weekend, WrestleMania. And the WWE has once again, or I should say not even once again, they've missed out on an opportunity to have Soulja Boy wrestle Randy Orton. He will not be wrestling him, even though he says that he wears thongs and called him pussy and all types of things on Twitter. They missed a big marketing campaign, and instead they have Bad Bunny wrestling God knows who.
And they have freaking Logan Paul. Remember that shit, Nigel?
And Logan Paul.
They have Logan fucking Paul.
They could have had Soulja Boy. Just cut him $1 million check.
I mean, he got the Draco challenge, so he good.
Hey, man.
Soulja.
Yeah, they didn't get Soulja Boy. I'm not mad at the Bad Bunny thing, because Bad Bunny, he's big time.
He's a huge star.
He's a huge star. And
is he bigger than Soulja Boy though?
I think so, because he won multiple Grammy. Yeah.
Internationally,
the guy's bigger than Soulja Boy.
You big Soulja, man.
You think Soulja Boy is bigger than Bad Bunny internationally?
5 million ringtones sold in a day.
150 shooters in Atlanta.
That's pretty much all there is to that. It's happening this weekend, y'all. I'll be tuning in. I'm sure that there's things to talk about that Wow might have to say about it.
No,
Yo,
just tune into it. It's going to be like their first event back, where they have, I think, 25,000 fans each night, because it's going to be a 2-night event. So about 50,000 fans totaling. That's a big deal for them, because they're the type of entertainment where they depend on the fan, because the fans are a part of the show. Because without the fans, the shit is not that great. It should be interesting. Don't get your hopes up, but it should be interesting.
Yeah, like I don't have much to say other than it's 500 million ringtones sold in a day. So I mean, what more can I say? 150. You know what I'm saying? So, but speaking about live events, right? I wanted to I'm not sure if you saw a lot. I know Nigel said he saw the Cassidy versus Hitman.
Oh Jesus.
Battle.
No, man, I told you, Easter, man, doing things on Easter and all that good stuff. I didn't get to see it, so you guys got to inform me of the nonsense.
Did you watch it, Spence?
Yes.
What do you think?
On now.
Who do you think won?
I have Hitman Holla winning 2-1. Surprisingly, I actually think this might have been the best performance we got from Cassidy. Based off.
It's true though. Go ahead. No, you're not wrong.
Yeah, like I've watched every single battle that Cassidy's had since he came back from Diz to Arsenal to Goods, and now this, which was Hitman Holla. And I do think Cassidy did not win this battle. There are going to be people that think. The people in the building said he won. The fans who watched it online when it happened live said he won, but. Nah, I got Cassidy losing that one 2-1. It was entertaining though. They were actually booing
both of them.
Yeah, I was surprised that Hitman Holla got booed. Like,
I don't know, man. I was watching it and I was like, this could be a tie, because I was just like, they both had one bad round apiece at the least. You know what I mean? And then, you know, Cassidy had that one surprising round where everybody was just like, holy shit, you know what I mean? Like, he actually is like rapping and saying some funny, witty things, you know? So, I mean, to me, I was watching it, and especially like the third round I thought was cool, but then all that shit happened where they took like 5 minutes to separate everybody, and it just kind of took the wind out of the sail for the, you know, that round for me. So I just didn't really, it was what it was.
Hey man, they're not hearing me, man. Turn my mic up, man.
Yo, that was so funny about that whole thing is when that whole situation happened at the end of the battle, it was like someone, I saw a comment that was like, where did Cassidy go? Like, like when the commotion started out on the crowd, on the stage, like literally within 30 seconds of the commotion starting, Cassidy just disappeared into the crowd on stage, and didn't reappear until everything was like handled and settled.
Yeah, very swiftly. Like, it was kind of crazy how he was like not seen.
Yeah, but I think there was a when I watched the battle, I know Hitman Holla had to tell his brother Show Out, like, yo, I need y'all to chill out, because if I don't finish this round, I don't get paid. So I'm guessing there was like a fighting clause within the contract to stop that from stop, to make sure that it was incentivizing both not fighters but rappers to actually end the battle and not end it in such a bad way. So,
you know, he really got up in his face like, I just don't understand. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why at that moment in time, even Hitman Holla didn't look happy. He's just like, yo, why'd you do that? You know, why'd you get so close to Cassidy?
Is that the kid that punched a bill collector and knocked him out or some shit? Like, oh, okay.
Like, that's him. But see, that's the thing. When it comes to that thing, that part of it all, that's what Show Out does in every battle, right? Show Out is like, he's I don't want to say a stagehand or a prop, but like he's part of his act, right? He's part of Hitman Holla's act.
Yeah.
And his thing is, everybody knows Show Out as being an aggressor, right? So that's his thing. Like, every time he's been in a battle like that, it's always been, nah, Holla, I'll knock him clean out. Like, that's his punchline involves knocking someone out. When Hitman Holla's talking about using a gun, he's like, man, forget all of that. I'll just knock him out right here. So,
well, you guys, we are wrapping up episode 50. I'm not going to lie, listeners. It's a late Monday night. We had to, you know, pull things together. You know, the general consensus had to get together. The measuring stick had to, you know, measure up to the occasion. You know what I mean? We had to get some shit together for episode 50. He is the occasion. Excuse me. There you go, right there. He said it himself.
I am the occasion. I don't measure up to anything. I measure up to my reflection every day.
We had to get this together. We had to get this together for y'all, and we are here 50 episodes deep, probably more if you consider the side episodes. Shouts out to Jesse. Shouts out to Kathleen, even though that wasn't a guest episode. You know, if you're counting our top 10s, if you're counting our fighter of the early beginning of the year, you know what I mean? Like, if you're counting all the episodes, shouts out to my dad. He was on an episode. You know what I mean? Like, it's been a lot. Thank you.
Facts.
Thank you to all the bums out there for tuning in. Thank you for all the ass clowns and the ass hats for tuning in, because I know the IQ level is so low that you have nothing else to do.
You know how bad you know how bad you're saying this thing has to be? It's like, yo, for the people that we make stuff for people that have the lowest of IQs. No. Let's stop it there. We gotta park Ric Flair for a second, man.
Hey, but in a serious note, you know, thank you to all the listeners. One thing that we do want to do that we always been discussing is to have some more guests on the show and all that, just to help take our thing to the next level. So definitely thank you all for being with us for 50 plus episodes. And here's to 50 more and 50 plus more on top of that. And we're just only going to get bigger and better. You know, just to, we'll never get bitter. So, you know, that was me fucking up, but So just when we first started out, we started out with a goose egg, a goose egg following count. So now we're more than that, and we hope to be more than that, and we will be more than that. Like to our counterparts, we are more than you. So shouts out.
Oh my God.
So shouts out to everybody that's been rocking with us, and thank you so much. And we try to be entertaining, we try to be funny, but we also try to be informative. We're not perfect, of course, just like nobody else is fucking perfect. So I see that, you know, my tag team partner here, he wants to tag in. So, but before I let his ass tag in, I just want to say thank you to all the fans. Thank you to all the haters. We need people hating too, man, because if you don't hate on us, then that means you're not talking about us. And for all you hating people and has-beens and sticking and booty people, thank you so much.
Like that.
We love you. No, keep that shit. And motherfuckers, we walk around with a sticking ass. Like, it's the truth. You know what I mean? you guys don't want to cut it when I'm talking about cocaine Oscar, but you want to cut it when
but that's your opinion, man.
I'm just saying.
You gotta,
People do be walking around like they got a stick in their ass, though.
Yeah, that like we're clearly just having fun and enjoying ourselves. You know what I mean? We're just good human beings here. But there's some people there that be thinking that they big shit. I mean, really, they broke. They dead broke down on their dick. So that's them.
What I was going to say real quick before you get your word in, Spence, is that listeners, if you're listening to this part right now, that means you listen to us. That means you fuck with us. And if you fuck with us, that means you know that we're not going to get 100% of everything right. For those listeners who have to just peek their head in and say, hey, by the way, you fucked up. Unless you're trying to do it in a constructive way, let me be the first to tell you, shut the fuck up. Nobody cares about anything you have to say. If you're not listening to this part, then I don't care what you have to say. If you come in on this part, you say, good job, Nigel, kind of like, Larry June, then yes, I'll take that.
If you have something to say, say it. At the end of the day, good, bad, or indifferent. I don't know what. Listen, I'm not on a tag team. I'm an independent rider. You know what I mean? So I don't have to speak for a general consensus because I speak for myself. You know what I mean? Oh. So I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you like.
Go ahead.
Had to separate himself.
Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't include him.
Yeah, we remember we brought you in just like Scott Hall, Kevin Nash brought Hulk Hogan in. We brought you in, so don't forget the originators.
Trying to catch us with the double cross real quick.
Yeah.
Listen, man, because I don't co-sign that. At the end of the day, if you got something to say, you say it. At the end of the day, if you got an opinion, all promotion is good promotion.
For real though. Good or bad, we definitely appreciate the interaction because it just helps bring more eyeballs to us. And we're not trying to be controversial or, just saying bullshit just to get a reaction out of people. We're just trying to tell our truths. And sometimes shit could be, we're not the great old Nostradamus, but, and I don't even know if he's all great, whatever, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. It's just that we're not perfect. Nobody's ever perfect. Neither are you. And that's okay. That's okay. You like to have branches so far up your asshole that it touches the back of your throat. And we enjoy $100 plates. What's that what he said? I eat $100 plates. Y'all don't know nothing about that. That's what she said, right?
I think so. I don't know, man.
Man, come on now. Don't be like all cool now.
Nah, I don't know. I actually don't know.
All right. Man. Well, everybody, definitely thank you. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you follow your boy Big Cozy, Too Cozy, aka the motherfucking coziest, aka the main event, the real world's champion. Yes. Make sure you follow me. Make sure you follow Relaxin, No G _ motherfucking Jackson and make sure you follow it without the motherfucking part, and make sure you follow Spence. All right, this is the Hollywood. Make sure you follow Saint.Kitch, aka Saint Picasso. You know, the most artistic chef out of the three, and he probably beat your motherfucking baby daddy's ass in the kitchen. In the kitchen, I said in the kitchen.
False accusations, man. I ain't got nothing else to say, man. Y'all said everything that needed to be said, I guess. Yeah, it's episode 50. Thank you for being this far with us along this road. Drink your water, eat your vitamins, and that's all I got to say, man.
50.
You have been highly advised. We will see you guys next week. 50 is not the end. We will be back. Thank you.
Sure.